Savell, everybody. This is Derek. I am here for the second time bringing you this episode. Why the second time? Well, I recorded this already. And I listened to it, and I didn't like it. And I thought, why don't I like this? A, I'm by myself. There's your first indication. B, and or two, I didn't have coffee the first time around. So we've rectified that, and we're going to drudge forth. And we're going to try this again. And the other thing, C, or 3, I felt it was a little negative. And I'm getting a lot of emails at the moment. Not about the show, just in general. So I'm going to silence my cell phone. And I thought it was a little negative the first time around. We're talking Supergirl. I've seen the film twice now. And despite how much I enjoyed it, I found as I was recording and reading more and more takes and more about the box office and things like that, found myself apologizing for it. Not really, but being an apologist, and also scratchy throat today. Scratchy throat Monday, excuse me. The coffee's not helping with that, but we'll make do. The coffee talk with Derek. I loved the movie. I really did. It's not without its problems. I don't think any movie these days is. It's been a long time since I've seen a perfect film. Those of you that listen to this show and know me well know I had issues with Superman last summer as well, with some of the choices made in it. I don't think you're going to appease to people all the time, especially comic book fans, but I had to really, and honestly, this is the real reason I'm recording this. Not because I felt I was too negative and not because I didn't have coffee. Those are excellent reasons. For you, the listener, for me, the recorder, I wanted to step back and question, was I being completely biased in my enjoyment of this movie? I'd only seen it once at the time of recording, and at the time of recording, that one time seeing it was at the premiere in New York, which, thank you, Warner Brothers in DC, for having me. Took my daughter, and it was an incredible experience. It does not affect how I rate the film. It was a wonderful evening, but it does not change how I watch the movie and how I rate or report or review the movie. Coming out of the theater, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I've only seen it once more since that time, but I'm still landing at 4 stars. You might land me at 3.5 if you argue with me long enough. I gave Superman 4.5 last year. There's obviously things that kept me from giving it 5 stars that I still have qualms with to this day, a year later, almost a year to the day later, as a matter of fact. That being said, obviously this film is getting torn apart online, which is, as somebody who likes to stay positive in these realms, it's tough to see. There's no excuse for it. The things that have been said against Millie Alcock, who in my opinion, is blameless in any faults of this film. I think she did a tremendous job with what was given to her. She is the light of the film. She is wonderful in the movie. And if anything, if I have any qualms with this movie, if I have any issues with it whatsoever, I almost can look past them because I am so looking forward to watching her return next summer in Man of Tomorrow alongside David and the rest of this cast for the film. Let's talk about. I'm gonna do a couple episodes on Supergirl, at least probably 3. This one, which is just me kind of talking through my thoughts and feelings about the movie, especially having recorded this already once and seeing the film twice now. I'm going to do another episode talking about the negativity, not only online, and not really giving it a spotlight, but just more what happened with the movie. By now, some of you probably have seen the Hollywood Reporter story on conflicting cuts of the film, extensive work on needle drops. In this episode, you're going to hear my discussion with Kelty Greye, who sang the cover of Jimmy Eat World's The Middle. I talked to her. You may have seen that on social media, the video from that, but you can hear a wider conversation with her at the end of this episode. But a lot of discussion about whether or not that was the correct choice in music there for the end. I saw one review that said, if you've never been a 13-year-old girl, you don't get to understand this film like the rest of us. And I respect that. I do have one friend that told me that she disagreed with that sentiment. So whatever, your mileage may vary there, but I did appreciate that if you've never been a 13-year-old girl, you don't get to judge it. What did work for me again, though, is the performance of Millie here, and not only Millie, but Eve Ridley. I think the two of them are, as I said, completely blameless in any issues I think people should have with the movie. If you want to have issue with the story, yes. If you want to say the villains were one-dimensional and not properly utilized, agreed. But I don't think, as a fan of this genre of these films, I don't think you can look at that at those two performances and have anything but grace for them, in my opinion. Again, mileage may vary. You may feel differently. I just think they both did tremendous jobs with the content that was handed to them. Whether or not that story was always good from the outset and changed, at some point. Among my friends, let me say this, and I've had varying degrees. Talked to the guys, that helped me produce this. There's about 10 of us total in a group chat together. And the fellas had wide-ranging views as well, from 2 stars to 5 stars on the movie among them. So again, you're gonna there's always this disconnect, especially when a movie that has been widely marketed, and you can't say this one wasn't. I mean, especially the product tie-ins, Ulta, KFC. I've completely blanked on the driverless car that Graham sticks me in wherever I'm in San Francisco with him. Waymo, excuse me, and more, Pinkberry and Cold Stone. There were so many. This movie had a huge marketing budget, and looking at now the numbers of where we're at come Monday morning, domestic a little over 58 million, international right at 42, worldwide take over 100 million, on a budget of at least 150, I believe. Our domestic opening for the last weekend was 37 million. So not where we wanted to be, not at all what we had hoped for. Am I an apologist? That's a good question. No, because I don't think there's anything on this movie to apologize for. Again, that is not saying that I do not believe that this movie had its issues. And I meant to go back and look at when this happened, because I cannot remember the timeline. But when the title was dropped, when it's based on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the comic, Tom King, Bill Gabley. And at one point, the film was going to be called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Just like last summer, at one point, Superman was going to be called Superman Legacy. And I made the argument then that we've never actually had a movie just called Superman before. 1978's Christopher Reeve, directed by Richard Donner, is called Superman the movie, not Superman. I never thought that film, even having not seen it at that point, needed the title Legacy in it. Especially having seen it now, I don't think that title would have helped matters. Do I think a subtitle would have helped Supergirl? Maybe. Is Supergirl the household name that Superman is, or Batman is, or even Wonder Woman is? No. If you're not a huge comic reader, probably not. I think, a lot of the jokes you see around Halloween are people talking about couples dressing up as Superman and Supergirl, and people immediately being weirded out by that. They're cousins. So it's a little odd. When the title, when Woman of Tomorrow got dropped from the movie, I kind of adjusted my expectations of what we were getting ourselves into here. It's a beautiful book. If you've not read it and you have seen the movie, please read the book. It might make you like the movie less. I don't know. It might make you love the movie more. Please give it a chance. I encourage you, even if you're not a comic book reader, to pick up a story like this one. And everybody has a jumping on point for comics. One thing I give James Gunn credit for is, and this is something that took me as a fan a long time to appreciate, because I'm so protective of this character. But when we was doing the whole Superman thing again, he was like, we're not doing an origin story. That's been done to death. We don't need to see Thomas and Martha Wayne shot again. We don't need to see Superman crashing to Earth again. Because he said, when he was a kid and picked up a comic, and this is true for me as well, Superman, it didn't start at the beginning of his journey. He didn't pick up a comic and read Superman crashing to Earth and being raised by the Kents and then moving off to Metropolis. He just picked up a random comic, and there's Superman and Guy Gardner fighting a giant alien. So that's what he puts on the screen. First Superman comic I ever bought was in the Exile storyline in the late 80s. And Superman has, is off Earth, and that's the first thing I ever read. The first thing didn't even have Lois. It wasn't even in the first story I ever read for Superman. So I think there's a wonderful opportunity when you're reading a comic, when you start reading comics, rather, to just jump in at a random place and have fun with it. That's for the majority of us, that's what we all did. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is now self-contained. You can buy it in these compact edition comics. We're actually running a contest right now over on House of L's Instagram. If you find the pinned post with the contest, follow us, like us, and tag 3 friends. You'll be entered to win the compact edition, which is a variant cover, the version I have, and the crypto KFC bucket as well, among other things. So just a little plug there. But regardless, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is a wonderful story. Supergirl, the film, is based on Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. You will not get the same experience out of one that you did the other. You may like one more than the other. You may hate one more than the other, or dislike. Oh, and I don't like to say hate, but you may dislike one more than the other. But it's definitely the story of Kara and Ruthie is brought over from the pages, and Crypto, to a degree, is brought over from the pages of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. It's a hard book to conceptualize on screen. The success of Superman moved up Supergirl in the DC release slate. I don't think Supergirl had to do for audiences what Superman did last summer. You've got the most iconic comic book. I mean, let's face it, the most iconic comic book character of all time, the original, who has been, theatrically 2006, 2013, redone and not done for audiences what audiences needed for it to do. This last summer is the first time that audiences really clicked with the character theatrically in some time. Superman notably works better on television than he does in film. We've seen that play out in Smallville, Superman and Lois, and even now with going into the 3rd season of My Adventures with Superman, which Robin and I will be back with episodes for. We have not been able to record those, but we will soon. I think as a quote-unquote sequel, I think is the sophomore outing for this new IP franchise with DC Studios, I think Supergirl works. I don't think it had to be the tentpole that last summer was. I don't think it had to be everything Woman of Tomorrow had to be enjoyable. Woman of Tomorrow is a very wide-ranging, sweeping story about these two characters that's in all honesty told over a very long time, and you go from something that literally at one point takes centuries to get to in the book, spoiler alert, to the acceleration of we have 72 hours with the film. So you've kind of got, the dichotomy there of this story that takes a very long time to tell in some regards on the page, and crunch that into a movie while still making audiences care. And how else do you make audiences care? Well, you shoot the company's mascot with a poison arrow. And if that doesn't make them care, I don't know what does. I knew that was going to be hard for audiences to watch. I've talked to people who have said I couldn't stomach it because of that. They didn't like seeing Crypto get shot in slow motion by the arrow. I understand that as a dog owner, as a dog lover. Thankfully, he's just a CG dog. We'll say that much. So what did I personally have issues with? Well, I mentioned the villains. Krim is an ideal in the book. He's present. He looks a lot different, obviously, than he does in the movie, but he's almost the MacGuffin in a way. Like he's this thing they're chasing, and we didn't reach those levels in the movie. Now, there's some reports, and I'll get into this in our next episode, which I hope to have special guests for, because a lot of me goes a long way in every regard, but specifically podcasting and you guys listening at home, which I appreciate. I'll talk more about the what changed allegedly in the editing room in our next episode. But I did mention the villains being very one-dimensional. I think that did hurt it in some regard. There is talk of Krim having a larger backstory in another one of the cuts. I don't think that would have helped matters. I don't know if it would have. Who can say? I think trying to make a villain like this that they ultimately try and make you empathize with in some regard is not a smart move. So I do like that he's very evil and no redeeming qualities about him, even if he is very one-dimensional. There's a lot of changes from the book that I'm keeping this light spoiler-wise because, well, I did already record one episode for this in a timely manner, and we're 2 weeks now removed from the film. We're in the second weekend, and I still want to be light on spoilers for those of you that haven't seen it yet and still want to listen to this. Then next 2 episodes I do, closing out Supergirl, will be more spoilery talk, but One thing I could tell you is I expected a lot of changes from the book. Like I said, dropping that title, I really did not expect a whole lot visually carried over, which is a huge thing for the book and has been in the marketing too. Bilkey's artwork has been utilized in new promotions for the film. There's a new book coming out that I'm really looking forward to that's kind of the art from the book versus the art for the screen with a lot of her art. I had the chance to meet her at the premiere, and she was wonderful, and told her how much I want to see more from her. Uh, I think her art is just absolutely lovely. But while it has been utilized a lot from like the Ulta promotion and other things, it's not something that's striking in the film. They didn't really try to recreate some of those looks. I still thought even leaving the title off, that might be a thing we got, but ultimately, while I do think a lot of Supergirl looks fantastic, and I'm not discrediting it, I'm just saying if you're looking for a one-to-one comparison from the book to the movie, that doesn't happen. I will spoil this because this is one of the greatest takeaways, or one of my most depressing takeaways, I guess, is I think that the cover of Kara wielding the sword above her head is the most iconic image from Supergirl One of Tomorrow. It's on the trade cover. It's on the original, the first issue run cover. There's the Page Punchers McFarlane toy figure of her holding the sword above her head. They just released the new Millie, the Kara figure holding the sword. She never holds the sword in the movie like that. She never holds it above her head. And that disappointed me. Because I felt that was going to be a great moment of her holding it above her head. And I'm Kara Zor-El of, the House of L, and that might have been wishful thinking on my part, but that disappointed me. The villains obviously disappointed me. The story is what it is. I think we lost some of the agency carried over onto screen from the book, and that's going to happen more often than not. Rarely do we see some of these stories so well depicted on screen. I really was hoping for more with this. And again, I love the movie. Do not get me wrong. The fact that the movie is not like the book does not affect my rating of the movie as its own. Now, if I'm comparing and contrasting, that's a different story. But if I am judging the film on its own merit, part and aside from the book, I really do enjoy the movie. I really do enjoy Millie and Eve's performances. I enjoy Momoa's performance. I did not expect him to be doing like a Michael Keaton Beetlejuice thing with that. He is having the time of his life. It doesn't matter if we were having the time of our life watching him or not. He's having the time of his life with that role, and I that made me enjoy that all the more. I think a lot of people have been like, he was, kind of shoehorned in there, or he was just like 15 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, well, something had to be, something had to be for the boys. Sadly, the young boys. Uh, I think if there was any question of whether or not this was going to be more of a family film, look to the point that there aren't action figures for it. Yes, they're the adult McFarlane action figures, but like with Superman, you could go in the kids' toy aisle and buy Superman figures. You can't do that with Supergirl. I know I saw a lot of parents complaining about taking their kid, after Superman taking their kid to this, and watching Kara go on a bender and aliens throw up and stuff like that. And I'm like, I feel like you were kind of handed all that in the trailer. I mean, it kind of shows that she's a little rough around the edges and having a time going through it, and rightfully so. I mean, let's talk about the Krypton stuff with the movie. Phenomenal, phenomenal. I want to know so much more about this Krypton. It's so beautiful. Or spoiler alert was. I don't know if you know this or not. Krypton's not there anymore. I think it was wonderful. I thought that that Argo itself, the way that was shown, was lovely. I have questions about Argo. We can talk about those in the more spoiler filled episodes, I suppose. But I really, David Krumholtz, God, those sequences in Kryptonese only were just out of the park. I did feel a little disconnect between those and the rest of the film. Felt like I was watching two different movies, especially at one point in the flashbacks with Krypton versus what I was watching in present day. I don't have an answer for why this went down the way it did. I think I think this thing's going to get its legs on digital, and in the months to come, I think it'll be revisited against Man of Tomorrow next summer, and audiences will see it in a different light. I think the tide will turn on this one, and I don't think it will take long. I think people were expecting something else and didn't get what they wanted, uh, and that's okay. It's okay to admit that it wasn't what you expected or hoped for. Again, I'm not apologizing for anything. I don't think the film needs to be apologized for. Some may call me a Superman apologist, but I was actually thinking about this earlier in the car. What do I have? What do I have to apologize for? Now, some would say Superman Returns. I don't think Superman Returns requires an apology. I think Superman Returns deserves an apology. Now, a few of the people involved with the production, at least three of them, should apologize. Not for the movie, just for their own actions. But Superman Returns deserves an apology. Man of Steel. I like Man of Steel. It's grown on me more over the years than it did out of the gate 13 years ago. It's low on my list of Superman films, so I don't feel like I have to apologize for it. I think every think piece in the world has been written about Man of Steel and Dawn of Justice, and anything said about it 13, 11 years after the fact now, 10 years after the fact, whatever, is moot. I hope the day comes I don't have to constantly revisit what I have to say or think about those films. The latter Christopher Reeve films, again, I'm not going to change anybody's mind on Superman 3 or 4. I'm not out to. I'm out to tell you that I love those films and I grew up watching them, and nobody's going to change my mind about how tacky or corny or goofy they are. So I'm not going to apologize for a 10-year series that I think is responsible for the state of superhero storytelling on screen now. Smallville, Superman and Lois, fantastic. My Adventures with Superman, fantastic. So I don't know what you have to call me a Superman apologist for, or a Supergirl apologist. I want to watch this movie again. And at the end of the day, I think that's all that matters, is how you feel. I want to talk about another movie I like this summer. And if anybody out there sees Luke Bugg, tie him to a wall until I can get to him, because he needs to see He-Man. He needs to see Masters of the Universe, and we need to talk about it, because I could talk about, I could do 2 hours on that movie. That was such a wish fulfillment film for me, and I walked out of that theater immediately wanting to turn around and go right back in and watch it again. I didn't. I have seen it again, but I didn't that time. So if that tells you anything right there, and that's looking to be, unfortunately, a huge flop, which I hope it also gets legs on digital, because I want to see more from that world. That entire cast was great, and I don't mean to wax poetic over Masters of the Universe over Supergirl, but I really enjoyed watching two blondes with swords and in miniskirts at the on the big screen this summer. I make no I make no excuses for that. I have been surprised by how many I have heard not enjoy the film, or really even didn't enjoy it, or did enjoy it, that were just kind of like, it's a thing that happened. And maybe that's what it'll be remembered for at the end of the day. It wasn't a great film. It wasn't a bad film, but it was a thing that happened. I hope it's remembered for a lot more than that, specifically for the job that Millie and Eve did alone. Because I do think, had it been a 1-to-1 Woman of Tomorrow translation onto screen, these two would have been the ones for it, even more so. But I think they did a wonderful job with the story that was handed to them, with the dialogue that was given to them on the screen. I think, once again, I'll say, probably the third time saying this in this episode, I do believe they are blameless from any complaints people should have about the merit of the film. I've seen plenty that don't agree with that, and it's easier just to block those people and move on with your life, instead of getting engaged with bad takes and arguing with faceless people on the internet. If there's one thing that age teaches you. But any complaints I see about her, specifically about Millie, are just so trite and undeserved. I think she is a phenomenal actor. I think She has some quality about her that is magical on screen. And, there's this wonderful portion of the film on Krypton. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's between Kara and her mother, Allura. And, Allura basically tells her that she needs to be good. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be nice. You can be tough and still be good. And I think the movie might have been messy. I think it was rough around the edges. I don't know if it was nice, but it was tough. I don't know if it wasn't perfect, but it was good. And I think that there's some mystical correlation in that quote and how beautiful it is and how messy Millie's Kara is and how just kind of messy this film is in a way. And that may sound like apologizing for it. I really do think it is just trying to lift it up and look at it from a different perspective. The snow globe of this film, I mean, it's going to get shaken up a lot over the years. It had a hard job to do out of the gate, following Superman's footsteps. As a character like this, that's last solo outing on the big screen was in 1984 with Helen Slater, which is coexistent to the Christopher Reeve films, I guess you could say. There's some carryover there with Mark McClure playing Jimmy Olsen in both, and obviously there's the image of Christopher Reeve that Kara sees in her dorm room, but it's neither here nor there. And then, obviously, the TV show ran for a number of seasons with Melissa Benoist. Everybody really enjoyed that show. I really enjoyed those first couple of seasons of it. And then we last saw Supergirl on the big screen when Sasha portrayed her in the Flash movie, and we know how that came about. So based on the character's legacy on screen, I was really hoping for something truly special here. Unfortunately, I just don't think we got it. But I do think we have it in Millie, and that's the important thing. If nothing else, let this film get you excited about what is to come with the DCU. Because I do think from a world building standpoint, this movie did a lot of heavy lifting that Superman did not do. That things that were assumed about or looked at and could be correlated and drawn from in Superman, we physically got on screen in Supergirl. As far as like alien worlds and stuff like that, and the greater question of characters from the world of DC, stuff of that nature. So, as a stepping stone, I think Supergirl did what it needed to do. As a film, in the realm of show business, obviously it did not do what it needed to do. That's not my job, unfortunately. I saw it again. I've given my money to it. I'm going to see it again. I'm going to buy it on digital. I'm going to buy it on physical. I'm going to buy it on physical and get the digital. I'm going to do my due diligence and continue to support it because I think it should be. And so I'll support it with my money the best way I know how. And again, I think if nothing else, it's just gotten me that much more amped for seeing this lineup of characters next summer. We get 3 summers in a row of the Super family. Last year was Superman, this summer Supergirl, and then Man of Tomorrow next summer, which filming is underway for now. So we don't have to wait that long again for another installment. Plus, we've got Lanterns and Clayface on the way. The biggest takeaway, the biggest thing I can leave you with is those who are concerned about the state of the DCU. I don't think you have anything to be worried about. Now, on the greater scheme of things, we're looking at a Warner Brothers buyout soon. We're looking at possible Warner Brothers buyout soon. The road has been paved for. These changes can affect all kinds of things. We know, Superman and Lois got cut. Its series got cut short due to multiple things like that. The CW being bought out, Warner Brothers being bought out at the same time, and by Discovery. The movie looming with the start of the DCU. So these changes can affect things, but I as a standalone film, I don't think anybody needs to be worried about what's to come. I think the folks at Warner have the utmost trust in James Gunn. I had the lovely opportunity to meet and talk with Peter Safran at the premiere for longer than he had any business standing there talking to me. In fact, I tried to let him go at least twice, and he continued to chat with me, which was lovely. But I just told him, how much Superman meant to me last summer, how much these actors that are very serious about these roles, like David and Rachel, how I think they've done a phenomenal job finding them and crafting them into the characters they want them to be. I think the same can be said for Millie. I really do. And I hope this thing gets another pair of legs out of the theater, and the people who didn't give it an opportunity based on, the original Variety article, which I feel like is really what set off the chain reaction for this movie digitally or online rather. I hope the folks that didn't give it a chance based on that will give it a chance. Because a lot of what I have seen has been the same. I don't know what that article was talking about. I read it and then I saw the movie and I enjoyed them, people like that. So again, your mileage is going to vary with anything. But the more I talk to people, the more I hear people liking it. And I wish those Rotten Tomato scores would change for the better. I saw one report that said over the 200 plus critic reviews, like 280, I don't remember how many, but like over 2/3 were men. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, that seems to be a key takeaway is women enjoying the film more than men do. So whether or not those are slanted reviews, negative, positive, I'm not commenting on that. I'm just saying that was a stat that was told to me. So do with that information what you will. Hey, I'm gonna do a couple more Supergirl episodes because I think it deserves to be talking about it. We should do one where we're talking about the negativity, where we're talking about the Hollywood Reporter article and kind of what happened behind the scenes, allegedly, according to some sources, and see if we can kind of draw from conclusions how that led to the final cut theatrically. But then I want to do a far more positive episode talking about what I loved, because there are so many things I loved, and not get bogged down in the online negativity that the film has suffered from or the box office numbers, and just talk about what worked and what was loved. And who better to do that with than also Luke Bugg? If anybody sees Luke Bugg, tackle him. I'm going to leave you with an interview with singer-songwriter Kelty Greye, who's sang the version of the middle from the song. I talked to her. The movie came out on Friday. I talked to her Sunday night after the film's release, and she was a joy to talk to. She had not seen the film yet at that point. She has now, but she was kind of in the dark of how the song was utilized. So, but we get to get into it a little bit in a brief interview, and I appreciate her doing that. Head over again to our Instagram, check out our contest that's going on right now. Win some Supergirl prize packs, including the KFC bucket, a copy of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, a Superman action figure, a couple more things we'll throw in there too. That is how you can win for that. We would also love for you to follow us everywhere that you do your social media or online at, because you can find us at all those places. We are on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, TikTok. Tim, are you listening? I'm running. I don't know what all these things are. I still call Twitter. YouTube. We would love for you to follow us on YouTube. If you are a YouTube subscriber, we are trying to build that audience more and more, and we're the same across the board at Superhouse of L. You can always email us, mail@superhouseofl.com, and find us online at our home on the internet, superhouseofl.com. And Patreon members, exciting news. Robin and Tim are spearheading a lot of things over there. I'm so excited for our patrons. If you're not a patron yet, now is a fantastic time to sign up, because things are about to start getting really ramped up over there with exclusive content. Head over to patreon.com/superhouseofl, where you can sign up there and support this show. We would love for you to do so. And another way you can do so is if you're following us on Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, leave us a rating or review. It helps a lot of people find out about the show. And we just celebrated our 21st anniversary. Going to be talking a little bit more Supergirl here in the upcoming episodes, getting back into some Smallville 25 episode interviews coming down the pipeline. Cruiseville here in a couple weeks. I am setting sail with the cast of Smallville. Pray for me, all of you, please. I am looking forward to the high seas and talking with this cast about this show as we approach the 25th anniversary in October. October 16th, we'll be celebrating 25 years of Smallville. And then right after that, immediately after that, we will be doing the 25th anniversary convention in Nashville with the cast. You can head over to creationent.com, find the Salute to Smallville convention, and find out more about that. I'm excited to be hosting for the third year alongside Krypton Sight's Craig Byrne. This has gotten to be one of our favorite things of the year, getting to do this. Appreciate them having us back again. Big thanks to Creation and this cast. I love getting to be up on stage and represent fans to them and them to fans, and just kind of be this middle ground and share love of this series and this character of Superman. So lots to look for from the House of L coming down the pipeline. Best way to stay tuned for that is to follow us at all those outlets I mentioned. Of course, online to superhousefell.com. Interview with Kelty Greye coming up after the music. Stay tuned, and we will see you next time. Well, it is the week of Supergirl, the day of Supergirl. Today is June 26th. It is officially the release date for Millie Alcock's Supergirl film in theaters today. And joining me is somebody that you may or may not know her name, but I think you will remember it after you see the film today, definitely. Kelty Greye, singer-songwriter, award-winning singer-songwriter at that, and filmmaker. And you heard her in the let's see, spoilers. We're still not doing great with spoilers. We're day up, so let's just say you heard her cover of Jimmy Eat World's The Middle at some point during your viewing experience of Supergirl. Kelty, how are you today?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. I imagine you're having quite the week.
I like can't even believe it's real yet. This is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
Tell me about that. Tell me how. I want to go back and talk about you a little bit, but just knowing you're in the hurricane as it's whirling around you right now, how is that feeling for you?
It feels incredible. This like has been a super quick timeline. I did not get the email about this until mid-April.
Wow.
And then they didn't even tell me what it was for, and so it wasn't until like May that I found out it was for Supergirl. So this has just been like a whirlwind month. It's been crazy.
I can imagine. Now, you covered the song in 23, is that correct?
23, yeah.
And obviously very memorable, brought back just sitting there. Let me preface and say I know you have not seen the film yet. To tell our
No,
listeners
I
that, and
haven't.
you're itching. You have not even seen the scene yet that the
No, it's
song is.
killing me. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but it's so hard.
I was in attendance at the premiere in Brooklyn Monday night, and
Oh my God.
I can tell you, just from my experience, you could hear a pin drop
Really?
in that moment. It was just a hush fell over the crowd, and it was, I mean, you could feel it. We were all very much in that moment together. I felt very emotionally charged by it. It's already a high octane moment, and then it's a balance shift you have to prepare yourself for, I think, or
Okay.
it hits you quick, but it's very fitting in its own interesting way. And I want to ask you what you would say to those who would call it an interesting choice to use a song like that over a sequence like that. I guess let me say that.
Yeah. Um, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't exactly
Right,
speak
right.
to it, but I do think I love like a juxtaposition moment where you put maybe a scene that, the energy of the scene is different than the song, and maybe it calls like an emotion forward. So I'm hoping it's kind of like a shift focus moment where
I
very
think that's a
action, but kind of a, emotional song.
I think it's a great way to describe that, the shift focus and the definitely the juxtaposition, because I think that's one of my favorite words. Thank you for using it. But I think that's a good I put a dollar in the jar every time I say it on the show. I think it's I took my daughter, and there's obviously a wide a wide age difference there. I was in high school when this song came out, and originally, but Jimmy Eat World version, not your version, the Jimmy Eat World version, and so it meant something for me. She knows the song too, obviously, and it was something. It meant something to her too. I think we all kind of shared a moment in that theater. Monday night, and I hope to hear of more people sharing moments based on this very moving sequence in the film. Tell me, that was one of the out of the gate questions I was going to ask, how this came about for you. But now knowing it happened so quickly, um, go back for me, because at first I thought I was watching the credits because I was like, I got to know where this song comes from. I mean, immediately that's the first thing that popped in my head. There's some great song choices in the film. Needle drops. This one stood out to me. What led you a few years ago to want to cover the song?
Well, okay, I also grew up with Jimmy Eat World. Like, I
Mhm.
remember the first moment I heard that song and, like, watched the music video, and it's always been a song that just, like, really resonated with me. So, I'm with a sync licensing agency, and they were like, "Do you would pick a cover that you wanna do?" And so I picked that one, because it just meant a lot, and the crazy part is I did this song 3 years ago, and, like, nothing really came of it,
Yeah.
and then just recently got, the notification about this, and I just was thinking, like, it just takes some time. Like,
Yeah.
the lyrics, like, they really it spoke to me in high school, it speaks to me now, and I think hopefully it speaks to the movie of, like, sometimes you're just in the middle, but, like, you're gonna get through it. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think it plays into Kara and Ruthie's story there at a pivotal moment as well. Uh, you're originally from Nashville, or just in the
From
area? I
East
know you said
Tennessee,
you were East
originally.
Tennessee, so
Yeah.
you're no stranger to music, I'm sure, being from being from regions like you and I are. And from a young age, what got you into wanting to perform?
Well, my great-grandma played the violin, and so I always wanted to play the violin. So I've been classically trained violinist since I was 7, and I grew up doing orchestra, and so my big passion was, like, movie soundtracks, playing, like, John Williams scores and, like, the movie music from Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff. So as I got older, I was like, "I wanna do, like, singer-songwriter stuff," but, like, my goal has always been to do it for a movie. So I think I've been
You
writing since I was about 14, 15.
Okay. And I mean, you got it. I mean, out of the gate, you're already there.
It's crazy. I'm like shaking still.
I can
And
imagine.
also, I'm a nerd. Like, I love a superhero movie, I love sci-fi, I love action adventure, so, like, I remember being a kid and going to the theater and watching, like, X-Men and, like, the Marvel films and DC and being like, "This is so cool." So,
Mhm.
this has been
Well,
a
and
I can't wait to see this movie.
this is a rad movie. I absolutely loved it. I've seen it twice now, and I can't wait to see it again. And in no short supply for scenes like the one you're featured in, because your music's featured in, because I think it um I think it really resonates, and that's obviously a testament to the filmmakers that look and the music supervisors that look for pieces that fit so well. But when you find something that does match, like a puzzle piece, it goes in. And I've heard some awful needle drops over the years, but as good ones go, I was very impressed with this one. Um, were you already excited for Supergirl before April? Before this was
Absolutely.
even happening for you? Okay, good deal.
Absolutely. I watched Millie Alcock in, House of the Dragon, and I was like, "Oh, she's great," and then hearing she was in this, and then, I so when I got the email about this, it just said, like, "We'd like to use your song for a movie," and they had, like, a fake title and a fake thing, and I sleuthed
Mhm.
it out. I was like, "I think this is Supergirl." So I knew
Nice job.
early, and I was, like, watching every trailer, every interview, like, so excited.
Um, I've gotta ask, just because you did mention John Williams and wanting to do stuff for the movies from a young age, what are some of your favorite film scores?
Okay, I mean, I grew up on Star Wars, so, like, classic Star Wars, the Harry Potter
Sure.
ones are beautiful. I mean, anything by John Williams, he scored my childhood. Personal favorite right now, Daniel Hart, who does, Interview with the Vampire. He's a
Mhm.
violinist as well, and I just adore his scores. Um, so
Well, very
Oh,
nice.
and
Well, good
Marie
deal.
Gold from Doctor Who, that was also a big
Yes.
big
Excellent.
inspiration growing up.
Tell me Wait, well, you don't have to tell me exactly where, but tell me how. Tell me how, and who with you are experiencing this for the first time this weekend when you see the film.
I am inviting everyone I know. So
Good.
I can't go until Sunday, but I am inviting my coworkers, friends, family. I went to MTSU for recording industry, so I have a lot of
Nice.
friends who do film and music, and so they were like geeking out. So everyone.
Well, that I know that moment for me on Monday. It was it got a big round of applause at the end, which is not uncommon in a film premiere. But everybody's amped up and excited to be there. But when you do get a moment like that, and everybody just gets swept up in it and starts clapping, it's hard not to be emotional. I love going to the movies anyway, but going for an experience like that for the first in a room full of people that are seeing it for the first time, and you're experiencing something together. I think that's art in general, whether it's music or film or what have you. So I commend you as an artist. I think you've done an incredible job with this cover, and even if you had to wait on it a little while.
Just take some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelty, thanks for joining us today. I know you're busy. You've got places to be.
I have
You got a
an
busy week.
EP.
Wow. Okay, please plug that. Yes, absolutely.
That's it. There's an EP, 4 songs. You can stream them anywhere.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. All right. So what's the title?
It's called Haunt Me.
Haunt Me. And
Yeah.
Apple, Amazon,
Amazon,
Spotify,
Spotify, YouTube, anywhere.
all those good places. Also, I believe there is a uh version of the middle out now that is from the Supergirl that you
There's
can find.
on my YouTube, there's like the soundtrack version.
Okay, the soundtrack. That's what I was looking for. Okay, soundtrack version, fantastic. And then obviously the song has been around for a few years, so you can also check out from the 23 version. Kelty, we really appreciate you coming on. Tell everybody where they can find you online.
You can find
And
me
follow
on Instagram, TikTok, Kelty_Greye, YouTube, pretty much anywhere. I'm online.
We'll follow you all the places. Kelty, thanks for joining us. Best of luck to you, and have a fantastic viewing experience this week.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.